I think she was already being prepared because they'd been sleeping over there. Whenever you guys are ready, we'll. No, but were you supposed to pick him up this morning? Oh. Oh. Oh, well, okay. Well, maybe he's walking. Maybe he's walking. It's a nice day. See? Is it going? Okay. Well, Jimmy walking down the road. Hitching a ride. From what all we've done again. Okay.
The Budget Committee for the Beagle County Council is now in session. Mrs. Loudermilk, would you tell us
Okay.
what your
after your
weekend
last,
of work has
after your
brought us
last
to?
meeting, I went back in, and so that we just didn't have one big total in salaries, and did exactly what you asked for, which was, again, the 5%, the sliding scale, took out the one position for our office, took out the position one for building security, took out one prosecutor. That's the only positions, I think, that we worked on. And then we adjusted the clothing to $1,500 for jailers and reserves, $2,150 for merit board officers, merit officers, sorry. And then
minus the truck for health department.
yes, took the truck out for the health department. I moved the drug court to the lit. Everything that you guys had requested. Okay? And then still based it on, I didn't, only the changes that you guys made to the operating balances are still there, the amounts left the operating balances where they were. At that point, you're under the levy by $98,930.
So this sounds like this is an acceptable
So that's-
figure.
As it stands, I went through everything again
Okey dokey.
and recalculated, make sure that it was all calculated correctly and all the stipends and or all that info.
What were, and I was writing stuff down, and so I apologize, I missed it. But it was prosecutor's office, auditor that had requested extra staff, but we cut back.
And building security.
And building security?
sheriff.
Okay. But we added, on those, did we add one, like, I think most of those had requested 2 positions. Did we add one on, like, building
Yeah.
security?
Yeah.
And prosecutor and auditor.
Okay. Oh, they had originally wanted 3?
Well, it was
One
2 prosecutors and
prosecutors
1
And
secretary.
one set.
And we left the one prosecutor, one secretary.
Secretary, okay.
And you cut one prosecutor. That was my understanding.
Yeah, I kind of want to have it in my brain here.
Now, if I could say one little thing, this stipend for jail and dispatch, and I know Councilmember Thacker and I've had a discussion as I made my position known. I understand what you're trying to do, if there was a way that we could try to do something and whether we increase it or not. But I am gonna tell you that the way, if you're going to pay it, 500, 500, 500 in every 4 months, that is kind of going to be a nightmare for payroll and the jail to track, only because, I mean, I get that it's to try to retain people, but I'm not sure how much that's gonna do. And if it's like, if they're there for 4 months, and then, you know, if you pay it out in, what do we talk about, April, August,
December.
November or December or whatever, you know, if they start in June or July, they're not gonna have been there for the 4 months, so they're not gonna get it till the December. And I just don't know if, you know, that really should come from the jail to track. And then we would have to watch it too, you know, looking at start dates. But I just don't know if that's going to be quite an easy task for them. I mean, it sounds simple, but when you're talking people coming in and out.
Yeah,
And when we talk to Charlie and Casey and Stephanie about that, who do it, I mean, they see what you're trying to do and appreciate that, but they also think that if there was another way, because that way is gonna be.
Do you guys got any thoughts about how we might do it?
I mean, if it's to retain them and you want to increase, and I know you don't want to change the civil polls classification, you know, from the amount that classification pays. You want it to be across the board, but I don't know that that's.
How about a simple stipend?
But that's what that stipend is, but you
Right.
don't want to give it to someone if they're not going to stay.
Stay.
Right.
And to me, I don't know that, I think it can be overly complicated, but I think the simplicity is, if you started before a date and you don't have 4 months in, you're not qualified. If
No, I
you-
get that,
If you
but-
if you start in March, you don't get it for the end of April, but you would get it for the end of August. So then, and they put a request in that this person is qualified for it. And then you guys look if they meet the criteria and then pay it or not. But if they don't put in the request for the stipend, then it's not granted.
You mean the jail?
The jailers, yeah, because they're the ones doing it, we're trying to help them to fill these
You're saying
positions.
the
and
jailer, not
The
the
jailer,
I'm sorry,
They
yeah,
the jail
request it.
commander.
yeah. It should come from.
It's
the
gonna have to
The
come from the
employee.
jail commanders or
yeah.
the supervisor.
But the employee can put in for it, the jailer commander can approve it, and you pay it.
If
they don't
if
put
they
it
meet the
in for it,
criteria.
then they don't get it. How would that work?
I mean, there's a certain sense of accountability, and then they have to meet the criteria. And if the criteria is you have to be there a minimally of 4 months to get the $500, and they're there 3 months and 3 weeks, they didn't qualify for it for that third of a year, and then they would get it upon the next one. And then if they leave before the dates, they don't get it either. And then, so it's
That
for,
would do
it's for
one year.
hiring and retaining, and that's just my suggestion on it. You know, I think if all the parties can agree that there's a better way to track it and to do it, I'm all for that. But I wasn't trying to make it overly complicated.
No, I get what you're trying to do, and I think that, you know,
Considering
unless you go
human
a year.
nature, people are gonna forget to put in the, and then all of a sudden they're gonna come back and go, wait a minute, I think I qualified for that. You got that stipend? I think I qualified for that too. Then they're gonna come back in and try to do it retroactively, and it's gonna be an even bigger nightmare. That's what I was gonna ask, if you could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Like
gonna
I
say,
said,
maybe
is there,
twice a year, just
I
do
think
it.
here and the intent for us is we have to put a line item and allocate the money, but as long as it is both parties, the audit department and the requesting departments both agree upon the processes of it, it's just like you and I talked about, which I think you had a very good point, that I think we would do better to retain or attract younger people if they had a rotating schedule, but I don't think, I think I have to stay in my lane and just
No,
work
no,
about
you're right.
budgeting. And we should make that suggestion to the jailers, but ultimately, they've got to control that, you know, and so.
And
this-
they are starting to look into that.
Yeah, and that, yeah, and so I am fine if it's paid out. I made the suggestion that we pay it out 3 times a year, but if it comes back and they ask for it to be paid out twice a year, and they bring it back and we amend it to be paid out twice a year, absolutely fine with that, you know. But I think what we
6
got to do
months
is,
instead of 4.
we have to get this budget recommended and approved before we have to worry about you know, how we pay it out, or changing it. Rather, if we establish it that it's paid out 3 times a year, and we see that that's not practical, and both parties come back, I don't think that this council would have any problem saying we will amend how we pay that out to once a year, twice a year, 4 times a year, whatever is the best methodology. You know, but I
Well,
think.
it's in here. It's
I
still
think
in
you
here.
bring up, I think you bring up valid points, though, I do. And like you said, is I hope that they also will take your suggestion that's outside of our lane, that if they want to try to attract people, I believe the shifts is a big thing, is in my experience and with healthcare benefits and with pay benefits in the industry I worked in, if it's a financial gain for them,
They won't forget it.
they will remember to do it. You know, that's just been my experience. Some of them will be, like Brenda said, is a little bit, and if it's a situation that they forgot it and there's a valid reason or whatever, maybe they got activated and they were in the guard or something, and so you have to take that under consideration, you know, so, but I think for our sake of what we're trying to do here, and appropriate money and then, and give some guidance, we can always amend it.
Well, it's calculated in there.
All right, thank you.
I didn't take it out. It's in there.
I like the idea that they make an application for it and the jail commander approves it and sends it to you.
Do we amend it to 2 times a year now? Or do we?
I think we just wait and see what we got to get it passed first.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just trying to be respectful, is that our recommendation is 3 people here as a committee making a recommendation, and we're doing what we believe is the best with the guidance of the audit and with the county council administrator, and then what we come up with is a recommendation, and if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, they amend it or vote it down, then we move from there.
Okay, well, let's go on then, okay. Alrighty. what
So,
else?
I mean, that's where you're at, with all your operating balances. I have, there is a couple, like, new clerk incentive, and I have put a phone call into Leanna, and there was some discussion, because new clerk incentive is not gonna be able to handle the person they've got in that fund at this point, with the 5% increase. So they may have to do some switching into perpetuation or switch
Was-
around.
New clerk incentive, was that added after budget submission, or was something they had requested?
The request was
that's-
in there,
that's-
but
that's
once we did
found.
salaries and stuff, it's,
It throws it out, okay.
it's, in there.
With the sheet that you prepared and gave us the other day with all the changes, we have a number of 27,105,144.73. Is that still the same number, or did that change after we made the adaptations? Because I know we got to under levy by 98,930, but I didn't know what the number was. Maybe it's there. Is that it?
26,814.
Okay, thank you. I knew it probably had changed. Thank you. 28,
Oh, sorry, 26,814.
Is that for
26.
general fund?
uh-huh.
Yeah, that's the general.
So do we have, I'm just kind of curious where we're at, what, like, as far as a total budget, what that number is compared to last year, just to kind of wrap my head around some stuff.
I have to compare it to last year's, but right now,
So we're at 71.
that total is 71 million I totaled across.
So, and it's okay if it's like approximate, I'm just trying to,
71. Overall, that's all funds.
uh-huh.
And last year's, all the dang paperwork I did.
What was it? 7103.
Yeah.
So, I mean, about just under 500,000 difference.
Did we get that much grant back from the,
Yeah, I mean, that's technically, if you look at that, that brings it right. Fingers.
And that was just 71,032, is it even?
098, I think it was
398.
098?
398.
Thank you.
That's 120. Okay, all right, thank you, I appreciate it.
And, I mean, I still have like, you know, like we had talked, that a couple of them, if you go with the salaries like they are, you'll have to come back in January, February, March to adjust because it's over the advertised amount. Okay? So like reassessment is over the advertised amount, but I actually have the total cost in there. So if I would drop that to the exact advertised amount, 158,157. No, 109. I got it. Just for vehicles. Not that it matters, because you're gonna have to come back and adjust, but that puts you under your levy even farther. But you're gonna be spending that anyway, I mean, making it as an additional next year. So that's kind of why I left it up and over it, just so you could see where you were. And then we'll make those adjustments before we finalize back down to the advertised amount.
How many how many funds are that going to be like that?
Reassessment was over, I might note real quick.
Let's drop.
Only, oops. Go to the other script.
Just a couple times.
For health. Okay.
So,
Nope,
Health.
health's not over.
it's not over. I was thinking.
Just pink.
It's really out of the levied funds is reassessment, but then there's a couple like supplemental adult probation or
That's
not
okay.
some. A couple of those, but, none of them in your levied funds besides. I'll speak to the clerk. all probation. The DOC grant shouldn't be over. That needs to be adjusted to the grant amount. And then health donation, I actually just got off the phone with Joni, and she's gonna call me back. In all honesty, once, the way she's saying it, if that environmental health specialist gets moved, we were paying benefits out of that, which I took out, but there was from Mike Grayless, the extra, she says she doesn't believe they've been paying him the level 8 out there. But if they have, that's only like $7,900, so that's either gonna drop that one or take that one to zero
Okay.
as a budget. But she's supposed to call me back, she's out of the office, but she's gonna call me from home. I got off the phone with her. And then, as I said, I've spoke with Leanna this morning from the clerk's office. So it really does come down to where you guys want to be. I did a little plane just across all funds, the totals. Like you see the 71 million, that's total of all. 51 million is what's left that could be spent for the rest of the year across all funds, which comes to 122. Revenues straight across for the rest of the year, revenues for next year. Okay, and then the operating balances at December 2022. Now, that's, like I said, that's all funds straight across, which is 63,774,000 with expenses for 18 months at 122. So you're about a little more than half across the whole thing. As far as cash balances, to keep the cash reserves. My prediction, as you set the operating balance at 15.5, and as I was going through 144s and just salaries and different things, because there's a couple of them that they've said they're not going to be filling them, but we've got them in there. Plus some other stuff. My guess is that operating balance, my guess will be 17 million plus.
So I'll talk about the operating balances as they talked about them at the AIC, and cash reserves and so forth, that cash flows across there.
I mean, when they talk about having 180 days of cash reserves, as they showed it, what Baker Tilly and them did and some of the other ones, what they did exactly that. It's a cash reserve. They take all the funds,
You know,
all
it's-
their funds, and add them together.
That's the cash that
And
you
look at the
have.
cash,
That's not
and then all the
you know,
funds for
separated
expenses to
in
make sure that your cash reserves can flow for 6 months to pay expenses across all of them. I mean, I agree that, you can't continue to eat into those operating balances for, or
You know, I don't, and
you
I
could
don't,
have an issue, but over the next few years. You know, you don't want to continue to eat into them. So I guess it's just kind of what the council's pleasure is wanting to do this year, if you're wanting, you know, to make this a good year, and then, you know,
Well, as I indicated, I spoke to, some financial people in the community over the past couple of weeks, and to the commissioners about the operating balances, and also to the State Board of Accounts about operating balances. And, you know, the CARES monies that are coming in, and we don't really know yet what those parameters will be on those monies, but that will put an influx of money into this community of substantial amounts. You know, we are currently facing some, you know, severely rising prices in the community for the cost of living, in feeding families, in rent, in gasoline, and so forth. And you know, talking to our employees, I mean, they're facing some real crises, and it concerns me a lot. You know, just reading last week's food advertisements in the newspaper, $5.99 for hamburger. I mean, that's shocking to me. To have, you know, children that you have to feed, you know, eggs at $1.59 a dozen. It's scary. And, you know, the bankers down at Terre Haute Savings Bank said, you know, the best thing that we can do for the community is to put some money into the community, to raise the pay for our employees, and that will jolt the economy here, and that's the best thing that we can do. You know, talking to you know, the president of First Financial, you know, Norm said, you know, we can't keep telling the prospective businesses that come in here, we want you to pay good wages, if we're not paying good wages to our people. And that's a big deal. You know, I think, you know, I'm so proud that Steel Dynamics came here. You know, we've got to follow suit on, you know, what we're asking people to do. I mean, we're not ever going to be able to pay, you know, big bucks, but, you know, the fact that we can pay for insurance and can, you know, pay for things, you know, that will help a family is a very big deal. And to give them a 5% raise is, you know, that's a big thing. So I think, you know, if we lower our operating balance and give a 5%, that's a good deal. Also, to be able to raise the elected official pay is a substantial boost for the community, so that we can attract some candidates who will run for office, maybe some younger people with a college degree who will give it a shot. You know, Chris Schweitzer said, boy, are you going to catch a bunch of, I won't say the word he used, but he said, you know, you're going to get criticized for raising your own pay. I'm not raising my pay, I'm raising the pay for somebody to run against me, the guy down the road. We got to get this pay up so people, you know, will attract candidates to run for office. We can't just keep trading offices around here. We've got to do it. We got to pull the trigger on this. So these are things that we just have to do. And, you know, this is the year we have to do it, because right now we have the money. So that's my take on it. That's how I'm going to cast my vote. That's all I got to say about that. I'm ready for a motion.
Are you ready?
I think so.
I'd like to make a motion that we forward this to the full, as a committee, a recommendation for the budget we have in front of us now that's been prepared. And I don't know how you want me to summarize that, I'm just making the motion of the budget that we have presented in front of us here as, with the, I think you had the heading under the 5% sliding scale position and the clothing stipend.
And the one position,
Yeah, with the positions, and I
That
could
you
go
have
down through it,
listed.
but with the, as you talked about when we opened the meeting, still reducing one from the prosecutor that was two, initially we had approved three, adjusted the one to the auditor that had initially had two, the public safety, increase of two back to one, with the adjustment of the health vehicle reduced, and the clothing allowances at the 1,500 and the 2,150. And that was, when we had all that, it showed it with adjusting operating budget, and it still left us at 98,930 under the levy.
And drug court to lit.
And drug court to lit, and I think there was one other one I had in there that,
A health truck.
we,
yeah, I got the health, had the truck in there. And then we adjusted the operating balances as,
yeah, they're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
where you took them out. You can see where I still have them subtracted out.
that would be my motion.
Is there a second?
Is that clear enough? We're good on that?
Yeah, I don't, that's what I didn't know, is, because I don't think we have it, like, if we had a budget proposal number 17, or whatever it is that we're working on, the current budget that we have in front of us here.
Okey-doke.
My second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And
And I was kind of talking again just to understand the process, and so, if there is something that, needs addressed, I hope other council members take a look at this and let us know, and can make motions as needed, but as far as the entire budget, I know we've worked really hard and tried to do some things to help the workers and help our community, so.
I will email this to all of you.
That's what I was just going to ask.
I
if-
already have this. I went through and entered everything in Gateway based on this. I thought, well, if you change it, I'll change it
Yeah.
again in salaries.
Yeah, and my intent
And
is,
so I will pull it from Gateway.
Mhm.
I will go back and email all that to all of you. I'm going to summarize everything that you've done, and so that everybody knows, I'll email that to all council members.
So that'll be just like a written summary, like,
Yeah, and I was gonna kind of do like what was proposed and what you cut or what you moved, and so the whole council is aware.
right.
okay.
And as I reported at our last council meeting, that as soon as we could have something that could be summarized, we should share it with everybody in preparation for our,
Yeah, so I'll get that done
Sunshine
today and
meeting.
tomorrow. And then I will notify you, the health one, I'm not so much worried about, because it's Joni, I guarantee it'll be less, so I'm not worried about it. The new clerk incentive, I will reach out to you guys, and work with Calissa and see what we can come up with that's feasible for it.
okay.
Okay.
So I'll work with her on all of that.
Well, and I appreciate all of your patience and teaching us, who are newer, and the process and just kind of learning. I was just kind of talking this morning with Calissa. It's a learning process, obviously, if I do it again or if they don't want me to do it again, whatever. You go into it and you kind of learn along the way. And I think for us, and probably for Todd, he jumped right into it. And then Brenda too, being, with new and coming to a lot of the meetings, it was a very good way for us to understand how the council works and the county works. So I appreciate your guys' patience and letting us ask a gazillion questions and things like that, because
Hey,
I
if
think
you
it
go out
makes everything-
understanding the difference between cash and appropriation,
then we're
I'll be
good.
happy, because most of your departments still don't understand the difference between cash and appropriation. Their authority to spend,
Yeah,
and,
but it
well,
was good.
I got the cash, you might have the cash, you don't have the appropriation.
So, yeah, it was good.
Did we hear any, and this is I guess a side note, did we get anything from the Lost Creek?
I thought we did.
Finish it last,
Oh,
Yeah, it was all ayes. Well, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I'll give you a recap. It was aye. It was, so 3 of them. No, we did. But did we, I know the last time we were here, we talked about there was a question about Lost Creek Fire Protection District, whether or not they had put a request in for a levy. So was it done?
Yeah, they don't have to go through the council.
I'm sorry, I wasn't here at that meeting.
So is
That
there
was the one
anything
you
we-
guys had for the fire districts.
We don't have to do it.
Okay, that's all I need to know if we.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably
Was
needs
that
to go
from
through the
Miranda or,
attorney's office, maybe.
oh, and Fred responded?
As long as I agree with Vicki, if the county attorney is viewed it.
Yeah, Gio. Helpful.
I don't know if the county attorney has viewed it or not. At some point, they went through the commissioners, and I do not recall it. It wasn't in any of the meetings I sat in that I remember, so. But apparently the commissioners approved it, so. I mean, it looks to me like if the DLGF is saying that it's valid, then now do what you want, so.
I just knew
Let's
it was
work for-
unresolved at the last.
It was, so.
Well. So, does that conclude the work of the budget?
Other than the Lost Creek fire, we held that off to determine what you're gonna,
What should we do about that? Say that they
Beyond recommendation, Department of Local Government Finance?
according to the Department of Local Government Finance, they have met all their obligations to, establish the levy. So if they've met their obligations and you're okay with establishing the levy, you can approve it. If you're not, then make a recommendation, to change it.
My personal take on it is we asked for information, they didn't come and see us. I don't think we need to take an action on it. And if we don't take an action on it and they got it approved through the commissioners, it's through the commissioners.
You still have to approve.
Not if they didn't come and see us.
You have to,
well, we
You have to
accept
send a
it.
recommendation to the full council based on,
I personally,
have to
I
send it to the
personally don't have
council?
to do anything on it.
yeah, you don't have to. You can send a recommendation to full council that's full council to do it and make a determination.
I think
You
that'd
don't
be
have to make a
reasonable.
recommendation
I-
for an action.
I personally don't want to take any action because,
Well, we haven't seen anything.
yeah, we haven't seen anything on it. I believe Calissa when she makes a statement that they've done what they need to do but this time I move that we forward it to the full council for their determination.
Is
No
there a
recommendation.
second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's
Yeah,
done.
that way we
Well, I
can
mean,
see.
if they've got a
You
way
got it. We got
around this,
it.
they got a way around
They
it.
got it. Okay, anything else to come before the budget hearing committee, budget committee of the council? Karen, do you have anything else for us? Cheryl, you got anything?
nope, I will get all this out to all council members. And all council members, I'm gonna ask again, are using the county email, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
to the best of my ability.
Some in the past have used other ones, so I'm trying to make sure that
I think
everything
we
gets
have
to,
them.
to the
And we
email they want.
And we can, I mean, Calissa has our group texting too, so she can send it out and just remind us that, hey, it's coming in your county email, but I'm pretty sure we mostly do.
Okay,
Yeah, if I know when you send it, I
okay.
can know
Well, you'll be copied on it, so,
that they'll have,
to make
they
sure
might
you
wanna
get
look
it.
at it.
Sometimes she needs to give us a nudge to look at.
That's okay. Once in a while, I get that from the city attorney or their assistant that says, you need to check your city email. You've got something to respond to.
If there is no further business to come before the Budget Committee of the Eagle County Council, it is with great pleasure, you have no idea how great, that I adjourn.
You have to have a motion to adjourn.
Do I have to have a motion? I'll take a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second,
This baby is adjourned.
aye,
All
yeah,
in favor? Aye.
aye,
Adjourn.
strong aye. Strong aye.
I don't know if I'm happy about this. We're done.